So this was my setup for last night. Tarp was barely able to get between these trees. See the bear line and the shelter right up there. It's probably been the worst place to find camping spots. Tri-corner was also pretty bad. For anyone keeping track, this is my 10th day on my 8-day permit. I have not seen a single ranger, and except for the first day, I've only seen one ridge runner. So, cannot quite confirm or deny if they won't bother you if you've shown that you are not trying to live inside the park, but I'll probably run into one today because of that. The place I'm trying to get to, I think, is about 9 miles away, so a couple miles outside the park. But then there's a couple side trails that I want to go on, which is going to add probably maybe like 1.4 miles, not quite a mile and a half. So based on the lack of fog, I think this side trail, well, it's a little bit over there, but this side trail that I want to go on, that's 0.6 miles, which would add 1.2 to my day. I don't remember if I already said the name, but I'm not going to. It's going to have a good view, one last view of the Smokies. And there's a little bit of fog up there. Maybe it won't be as good as I think. I'm going anyway. I'm here. It's a lot of downhill today, except for this part, which is uphill. Alright, so here we are, Mount Cramerer Trail, 0.6 miles, 5.2 miles to Davenport Gap. The AT continues this way. I am going to go to the 0.6 mile off trail. That portion of the trail was pretty flat and smooth. This is getting a little bit steeper towards the end. There's a little up and a little down. It's not too bad. Guess you can bring your horse back here, but not any closer to the tower. Someone was telling me they came up here and side quest this way. I don't even know what the sign says. Someone was saying it gets like steeper and you gotta kind of scale rocks a little bit. Yeah, here we go. I wouldn't bring a horse up here. Ooh. This is what I came down here for, the Mount Cramerer fire tower. Which, this was built in 1937. Did everything by hand, horseback and jeep. Took 2 years to build. It operated until the 1960s. In the 80s, the mountain weather had taken its toll. 2 local park supporters decided they wanted to save it. The lookout appears as it did in the 40s. Arno B. Cramerer was apparently very important in making the park. And just some little history things. Apparently the tower looks very rough, and I can see the wood and stuff on the windows. Bottom level is just a bunch of garbage, pretty much. Ooh. Turn around. Okay. It's really sad how much damage this has taken. Because I can only imagine exactly how hard it was to build this way up here. Especially in this location, because it's just tons of rocks. I guess that was the only peak in. But I can't see in there. See absolutely beautiful views up here though. No, that one does go here. Of course, people have been writing their names on this. It's almost 100-year-old building and they're destroying it more than it already is. Old buildings make me sad when they're rotting away, because it's like they were so full of life at one point, and they serve such an important purpose, and now they're just sitting here rotting away in the elements. And especially something like this, how much care and hard work must have been put into building it up on this site, just for it to be rotting away now. There's also a little rocky place over here. We have a really great view out. You almost have a 360 view here. It didn't feel like 0.6 coming down or going down, but coming back it definitely felt long. So keep that in mind if you want to go down there. It's a cool tower. I definitely recommend it. Maybe not if it's raining, but here we go to Davenport Gap. The Davenport Gap Shelter is almost 4 miles away, and the trail still swampy. Like this random retaining wall that's been built in here. A little bit of a view again. It is a little after 1. Davenport Gap Shelter is about 2 miles away. Hoping to get down there so I can stop and eat lunch, because I think the exit to the park is only a couple miles after that. Could be wrong, but this has been a super steep, well, not super steep, but a super long, semi-steep downhill. And I guess Clingman's Dome is closed right now, so I passed a lot of people going north, which I wouldn't want to climb up this. Here's the second side trail of the day. I hope this is not very steep getting down here or back up. This kind of seems to be the only tenting area at Davenport Gap, but it's also the toilet area. So I would try to avoid staying here unless you're in the shelter. Davenport Gap Shelter, the last shelter with a cage around it. There's 2 guys setting up down in the shelter, so I came up to the crossroad thing. So all of the shelters in the Smokies used to have the cages on them, and then I'm sure there's truth to both of these stories, but one guy told me that people were baiting the bears, and that was obviously a problem, so they took them down. And then another guy said no, it's because people were hanging their stuff in the shelter and the mice were getting in there, and that was a problem. And I mean, both of those are pretty plausible, because people are definitely feeding the bears when they shouldn't be, and the mice, there's only really been one shelter where I've heard the mice are a huge pain, but wherever the food is, they'll go. So Davenport, which is the northern boundary of the Smokies, is about a mile away. The place where I want to camp is about 2 miles away. It's not a shelter, it's like a stealth site, but it's 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to keep going downhill and see how far I get. Here we are, the end of the Smokies. Don't feed the wildlife. This is Davenport Gap. Let's see how old this sign is. That says 231 or 239.1 to Springer. It is a pretty recent sign. I mean, based on how nice it looks. But Springer is that distance away. Maine is a little bit further away because they added a, I don't know if it was quite a mile or two, but this is actually a really nice sign. I like it far out warned us there's going to be power lines. It's like we're going to get startled by man-made technology after being out in these woods. Oh, we're going to trip down the stairs is what we're going to do. So the permit itself doesn't actually say that you need to put it in the box, but I remember reading or watching other people do that at the end, and also I don't want to carry it. So it's in the box now. Anyway, can't get it back out. There is a nice campsite at 39 something, I think. The only problem part with this is that there's nowhere to really go to the bathroom because you're supposed to go like 100 feet or something away from water sources, and this is on an island. But I'm very tired. Between Cosby Knob and here is 8.77 miles, plus I did the extra 1.2, so today's total mileage is 9.97, although the 1.2 doesn't count. But it's a cool lookout, definitely go. I don't regret going. Davenport Shelter was cool. And now I'm here. I realized I never talked about my resupply. So for dinner tonight I have the original mashed potatoes, and then I put some of this Follow Your Heart vegan cheese in it, and this turkey that's from Tofurkey, which is also a vegan company. I got those at the Food City. And I keep these bags to reuse because they reheat really well. And I was eating the cheese and the fake turkey and tortillas, but it's been like 4 days, so I decided to finish eating them before they went bad. The first puppies that we fostered were Peaches and Ripper. One of them was like a brindle color, and then actually I think they were both brindle, but one was like a brown and one was a gray. They were puppies, so they were little terrors, and we only had them for the weekend, which is the best kind of puppy, because people don't realize how much work puppies are. They think they're fun and games and whatever, and they don't realize that they need to train them. Obedience, house training, all that kind of stuff. So we only had them for that weekend, so presumably they got adopted by nice families, and Fiona really liked having puppies around. Colby wasn't always so sure about them, and Angel didn't like other dogs, so she always barked at them, but it was our first experience with puppies, which led us down a very long road. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.